Elias never thought he would live with an alien. That was not because he hated aliens. He had grown up seeing them on screens, in news reports, in public announcements from the United Systems Council. Aliens were normal now. They worked on stations, traded goods, studied alongside humans. Still, most people did not live with them. But rent on Crossway Station was cheap only if you joined the interspecies housing program. So Elias signed the papers. The apartment was small but clean. One main room, a shared rest area, a compact food unit, and 2 sleep spaces divided by a partial wall. The station lights outside the window never truly dimmed, but they softened during rest hours, casting the room in a gentle blue glow. Elias arrived first. He placed his bag down, unfolded his sleeping pad, and leaned back against the wall. The place smelled faintly metallic, like most stations, but there was something else, too. A dry, sharp scent, almost like cold stone after rain. That must be the alien. The door slid open without warning. Elias stood up quickly. The being that entered was tall, taller than any human Elias knew. Its body was thin but strong, covered in smooth gray-blue skin that reflected the light instead of absorbing it. Its limbs bent at angles that made Elias's brain hesitate for half a second before understanding them. The eyes were large, dark, and unblinking. It carried no bags. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then the alien lowered its head slightly. "I am Celt," it said. Its voice was calm, layered, as if more than one tone spoke at once. "I will share this living space with you." Elias swallowed. "I'm Elias," he replied. Human." Celt tilted its head.
"I am aware. That was not rude. Just factual."
Celt stepped inside and stood very still, as if waiting for something else to happen. Elias realized with some embarrassment that he was blocking the doorway. "Sorry," Elias said, moving aside. "Make yourself." Comfortable?" Celt moved past him with slow, careful steps. It examined the room in silence, turning its head slightly left and right. It paused near the sleeping area on the far side of the room and placed a flat, folded mat on the floor. Elias had not seen where it came from. Then Celt stood there again. "I will rest during the station's low-activity cycle," Celt said. "My movement will be minimal." "Good," Elias said. "Mine too." Another pause. "You have placed your rest surface near the wall," Celt observed. "Yeah," Elias said. "Abbott, I see." Silence returned. Elias cleared his throat. "There are rules, I guess. Station rules, noise limits. Shared space etiquette. I have reviewed them," Celt said. "I will not violate them." "That's good." Another pause. Elias realized something then. The alien had not asked him any questions. Not where he was from, not what he did, not even how long he planned to stay. It did not seem unfriendly. Just distant. That night, Elias lay awake longer than usual. Celt had settled onto its mat without sound. It did not turn or shift the way humans did. It simply lay there, still, eyes closed, or what Elias assumed was closed. Elias told himself there was nothing strange about it. Still, he kept his eyes open. Eventually, exhaustion won. When Elias woke, the station lights had brightened to morning cycle. He sat up slowly. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then, he noticed the distance. Celt's mat was closer, not by much. Maybe the length of 2 fingers, but Elias was sure. He had lined his own sleeping pad up with a floor seam the night before. Celt's mat had been further away. Now, it was not. Maybe the mat slid during the night. Maybe the station's artificial gravity fluctuated slightly. That happened. Sometimes. The day passed quietly. Elias worked a long shift monitoring cargo manifests. When he returned, Kelt was already in the room, standing near the food unit. "You may use it first," Kelt said. "Oh,
Thanks." They ate in silence.
That night, Elias paid more attention. He watched as Kelt prepared to rest. The alien moved with careful precision, unfolding its mat and placing it on the floor. Elias waited until Kelt was fully still before lying down himself. He slept lightly. When he woke again, his heart beat faster than it should have. The mat was closer. Not a lot, but more than before. Now it was impossible to ignore. Elias sat up, staring at the space between them. His mind raced through explanations. Gravity, sleepwalking, unconscious movement. Aliens were different. Maybe this was normal. Still, unease settled in his chest. At breakfast, Elias decided to ask, "Hey, Kelt? Yes. Do you move around while resting? No. Not at all? No. Your mat was closer this morning." Kettle looked at him. For a long moment, it said nothing. Then, "That is correct." Elias blinked. "You did that on purpose?" "Yes." "Why?" Kelt tilted its head again, slower this time. "Is this undesirable?" "I mean," Elias said carefully, "it's unexpected." "I will take note of this response," Kelt said. That was the end of the conversation. The third night, Elias barely slept. He kept one eye open, pretending to rest. He listened for movement. Nothing. No sound. No shift. No scrape against the floor. Yet when morning came, the mat was closer again. Now the distance felt personal. Elias sat there, staring, his skin prickling. He was not afraid, not fully, but something deep inside him was alert, like a warning light that refused to turn off. He stood up and placed a small strip of tape on the floor, marking the edge of Kelt's mat. Then he waited. That evening, Elias returned earlier than usual. The tape was gone. Not torn, not damaged. Gone. The mat sat exactly one step closer. Elias felt his stomach tighten. "Kelt," he said slowly. "We need to talk." Kelt turned toward him at once. "Yes, you're moving closer every night. Yes, that's not normal for humans. I understand. Then why are you doing it?" Kelt was silent. The station lights hummed softly. Somewhere beyond the walls, a transport passed, its engines sending a low vibration through the floor. Finally, Kelt spoke. "This living arrangement is temporary," it said. "Correct?" "Yeah," Elias replied. 6 months, unless renewed. I require data before that period ends." "Data about what?" Kelt stepped back slightly, as if adjusting its posture. "About you." Elias did not like the way that sounded. "What kind of data?" "Trust," Kelt said. "Threat level, response to proximity." Elias let out a slow breath. "You could have asked." "I am asking," Kelt replied, "in a way that matters." "That's not fair." Kelt looked at him. "Fairness is not the goal. Survival is." The word hung in the air. "Survival from what?" Elias asked quietly. Kelt did not answer. That night, Elias moved his own sleeping pad. He placed it slightly closer to the center of the room, not toward Kelt, not away, just closer. He did not know why he did it. Maybe to take control of the situation, maybe to see what would happen. When he lay down, he stared at the ceiling, listening to his own breathing. Hours passed, nothing moved. When morning came, Elias opened his eyes slowly. Kelt's mat had not moved. It stayed exactly where it was. Elias sat up, heart pounding. Kelt was already awake, watching him. "You noticed," Kelt said. "Yes, you changed the pattern. So did you." Yes. They stared at each other across the reduced distance. This arrangement, Kelt said, is now in an observation phase. Elias swallowed. And what happens next? Kelt's eyes reflected the station light. We continue, it said, until one of us decides not to. Elias lay back down, wide awake, knowing one thing with absolute certainty. This was no longer just about rent, and whatever test Kelt was running had only just begun. Elias stopped moving his sleeping pad after that night, not because he was afraid, but because he wanted to understand. Whatever Kelt was doing, it was no longer random. It reacted, it observed, it adjusted. That made it intelligent in a way Elias respected, even if he did not trust it yet. For the next 2 nights, nothing changed. The distance between them stayed the same. Not close enough to touch, not far enough to forget. Elias noticed that Kelt always woke before him now. Those large dark eyes were open whenever Elias stirred. Already watching, already alert. Elias pretended not to notice. He focused on routine, work, food, rest. Normal things. Human things. But his thoughts kept returning to the same questions. What kind of species tested trust while someone slept? And why did survival depend on it? On the 5th day, Elias checked the station network. He searched for information on Kelt species. There was not much. Basic biology. Environmental needs, political status, displaced. Homeworld listed as lost. Cause, classified conflict. That alone made Elias uneasy. After work, he returned to the apartment to find Kelt standing near the window, staring out at the station traffic. Small ships moved slowly past the glass, their lights blinking in calm, predictable patterns. Kelt, Elias said, can I ask you something? Yes. What happened to your homeworld? Kelt did not turn. It is not required knowledge for cohabitation, it said. I'm not asking as a rule, Elias replied. I'm asking as your roommate. That made Kelt pause. Slowly it turned to face him. Human social structures place value on shared context. Yeah, Elias said. They do. Very well, Kelt said. I will provide limited context. It moved away from the window and sat on its mat, folding its limbs carefully. My species formed alliances easily, Kelt said. We assumed proximity implied safety. We assumed shared space meant shared intent.
Elias listened without interrupting.
One allied species disagreed, Kelt continued. They preferred distance. Observation. Control without closeness. What happened? Elias asked. They waited, Kelt said, until our defenses were minimal, until we trusted the absence of threat. Elias felt cold. They destroyed us, he asked quietly. They displaced us, Kelt corrected, which is slower and worse. Silence followed. That's why you're testing me, Elias said, to see if I pull away. Yes. And if I do? Kelt met his eyes. Then you are not safe. Elias exhaled slowly. That's a lot to put on one human. You volunteered? Kelt said. Elias almost laughed. I volunteered for cheap rent. Motivation is irrelevant, Kelt replied. Action is data. That night, Elias dreamed of lines on the floor moving on their own. He woke tired. The mat had not moved. Days passed. Kelt began doing small things differently. It waited before entering shared spaces. It mirrored Elias's posture when they spoke. When Elias cooked, Kelt stood nearby instead of across the room, closer. Always closer. Elias noticed something else too. Kelt never touched anything Elias had not touched first. One evening, Elias tested it. He placed his cup on the table and walked away. When he returned, Ket was still standing, waiting. "You can use the table," Elias said. "Yes," Kelt replied. "After you." That was not fear. That was respect. Elias began to understand that proximity was not the only test. Sequence mattered. Initiative mattered. Who moved first mattered. Humans were good at reading that kind of thing. They had been doing it for thousands of years without calling it science. The station alarm sounded late one night, not loud, not urgent, just a system alert. Elias sat up instantly. Kelt was already standing. "What is it?" Elias asked. "Unscheduled patrol activity," Kelt said. "Unusual for this sector." They moved to the window. Outside, dark ships drifted closer to the station. Not docking, just watching. Elias felt a familiar tension settle into his chest. He had seen that posture before, back on Earth, during old footage of pre-contact conflicts. "Do you recognize them?" Elias asked. Kelt's body stiffened. Yes. Elias did not need to ask which species they belonged to.
"Are we in danger?" he asked.
"Not yet," Kelt replied. "They prefer distance." That sentence chilled Elias more than any alarm could have. Over the next few days, the patrol ship stayed. The station authorities said nothing. Life continued, but it felt thinner, like glass stretched too far. Kelt's behavior changed. It stopped moving closer at night. Instead, it stayed exactly where it was. "You stopped the test," Elias said one evening. "No," Kelt replied. "I reached a decision threshold." "That doesn't sound good." "It is unresolved," Kelt said. "Your species is inconsistent." Elias raised an eyebrow. "That's fair. You demonstrate willingness to approach," Kelt continued, "but you retain independent boundaries. That's called being human." "Yes," Kelt said. "That is the problem." Elias leaned back against the wall.
"You're afraid we'll leave when things get hard."
Yes. Elias thought about the ships outside, about history, about how many times humans had walked away from responsibility. "You're not wrong," he said. Kelt studied him carefully. "But," Elias added, "we're also really bad at abandoning people once we decide they matter." "That is statistically unverified," Kelt said. "Give us time," Elias replied. That night, Elias did something he had not planned. He reached out and slid Kelt's mat a few inches closer. He did it slowly, clearly, while Kelt watched. Kelt did not stop him. When Elias finished, he stepped back. "I don't know if I'm safe," Elias said. "I don't know if my species is either. But I won't pretend distance makes things better." Kelt looked at the mat, then at Elias. "You have reversed the test," it said. "Yeah," Elias replied. "Now you decide." Kelt did not sleep that night. Neither did Elias. The patrol ships moved closer the next day. Station officials issued a quiet advisory. Remain calm. No threat detected. Elias knew better now. Threat did not need noise. That evening, Kelt spoke again. "If conflict occurs," it said, "my presence will increase your risk." Elias looked at it. "Are you asking to leave?" "I am offering," Kelt replied. "Distance is safety." Elias shook his head. Not this time. Kelt's eyes darkened slightly, reflecting less light than before. "That decision has consequences," it said.
"So does every human one," Elias replied.
They stood there, closer than they had ever been before, not touching, but no longer separated by invisible lines. Outside, the ships waited, and for the first time since the test began, Elias realized something important. Whatever was coming, it would not be quiet, and humanity was about to be observed, not from a distance, but up close. Elias woke to silence that felt wrong. The station was never truly quiet. There was always a hum, a distant vibration, a soft mechanical breathing that reminded everyone they lived inside metal and glass. That morning, the hum was thinner, stretched, like something holding its breath. Kelt was standing near the window. It had not done that since the patrol ships arrived. "How long have you been awake?" Elias asked.
Before you, Kelt replied. The ships have changed position. Elias moved beside it.
Outside, the dark vessels were closer now. Not close enough to dock, close enough to watch. Their lights were dimmer than civilian ships, designed to blend into the background instead of standing out.
They're not leaving, Elias said.
No, Kelt replied. They are waiting for response. From who? From me, Kelt said. Or from you. Elias frowned. That doesn't make sense. You're one person. I'm just a cargo monitor. Kelt turned slightly. You are human. That was said like it explained everything. Later that day, Elias was called into a meeting. It was not official. No uniforms. No recorded log. Just a quiet room and a station liaison who looked tired. "We've noticed unusual proximity behavior in your assigned housing," the liaison said carefully. Elias did not like the wording.
You mean my roommate? Elias replied. Yes, the liaison said.
And the ships outside. "You know they're connected," Elias said. The liaison hesitated. "We suspect." "And?" Elias pressed. "And we would prefer to relocate you," the liaison said, discreetly, "for your safety." Elias felt something tighten in his chest. "What happens to Kelt?" he asked. "It would be reassigned," the liaison said. "Possibly transferred. Possibly where?" The liaison did not answer. Elias stood up. "No." "No?" the liaison echoed. "No relocation," Elias said. "If you remove me, you confirm exactly what those ships are waiting for." The liaison studied him. "You believe proximity is deterrence. I believe distance already failed once," Elias replied. The liaison sighed. "You're asking us to risk an incident." "No," Elias said. "I'm asking you not to repeat history." That night, Elias told Colt everything. The offer, the relocation, the quiet pressure. Kelt listened without interrupting. "They are afraid?" Kelt said when he finished. "They should be," Elias replied.
You refused, Kelt said. Yes.
Why? Elias thought about it. Because if I leave, he said, those ships learn something.
They learn that pressure works, that humans step back. "And if you stay?" Kelt asked. "They learn, we don't." Kelt was silent for a long time.
Your species is unpredictable, it said. Elias smiled slightly.
"We've heard that before." That night, the map moved again. But not closer. Farther. Just a little. Elias noticed immediately. "You're pulling back," he said.
Yes, Kelt replied. I am recalibrating. Because of me? Because of the ships, Kelt said.
"If they believe I have failed to establish trust, they may act." Elias frowned. "So you want them to think I don't matter?" "Yes." "That's not happening," Elias said. He reached down and moved the mat back to where it had been. "I won't play distance games," Elias said. "If they want data, they can get it straight." Kelt watched him closely. "You are positioning yourself as signal," it said. "Good," Elias replied. The next day, station security increased patrols. Officially, it was routine. Unofficially, everyone felt it. People avoided windows. Conversations grew quieter. Foot traffic thinned. Elias noticed something else too. Other species were watching humans now. Not openly, just, more carefully. Humans moved differently, spoke differently, They laughed louder than necessary. They stood closer together in public spaces, even when it made no sense. Elias understood it, instinctively. This was what humans did when threatened. They clustered. That evening, Kelt made a request. "I would like to accompany you," it said. "To where?" Elias asked. "To a public space," Kelt replied.
A place of human gathering. Elias raised an eyebrow.
"You don't like crowds." "No," Kelt said, "but observation requires contrast." They went to a common food hall. It was not busy, but not empty. Humans, traders, a few off-world workers. Conversations paused briefly when Kelt entered, then resumed. Elias did not slow down. He took a tray, sat at a table, and gestured for Kelt to join him. Kelt hesitated for less than a second. Then it sat close. Elias felt eyes on them. Curious, concerned, calculating. Good, he thought. Let them see. A group of humans nearby noticed too. One nodded at Elias. Another smiled faintly. No one asked questions. That mattered. Later, back in the apartment, Kelt spoke quietly. "You altered the data environment," it said.
How?
Elias asked. "You demonstrated normalized proximity under observation," Kelt replied. "This complicates hostile interpretation." Elias leaned back. "That's the idea." The ships outside shifted again. Closer still. Station Command finally made a statement. Unidentified vessels. No hostile action detected. Negotiations ongoing. Kelt listened to the broadcast in silence. "They are waiting for me to isolate," it said. "And you won't?" Elias replied. "No," Kelt said, "because you will not." That night, Elias woke to movement. Real movement. He opened his eyes to see Kelt standing beside him. Not looming. Not threatening. Just, there. "I need confirmation," Kelt said softly. "Of what?" Elias asked, heart racing. "That if conflict begins?" Kelt said. "You will not withdraw." Elias sat up. "You don't get guarantees," he said. "From humans or anyone else." Kelt's shoulders lowered slightly. "But," Elias continued, "you get choices, and I'm choosing this." He stood and stepped closer, not touching, but close enough to matter. Kelt did not move away. The next morning, the first message arrived. Not public, not official. A direct channel request from one of the ships. Kelt stared at the display. "They are asking for parley," it said. "With you?" Elias asked. "With us," Kelt replied. Elias laughed quietly. "Figures." Station Command objected. Strongly, Elias insisted, even more strongly. In the end, a compromise was reached, a limited channel. Observation only. No movement, no threats. Kelt stood beside Elias as the screen activated. The being that appeared was nothing like Kelt, broader, heavier. Its eyes were smaller, sharper. It did not greet them. "Your proximity is inefficient," it said. "Your distance is suspicious," Elias replied. The alien paused. "You are not the subject," it said. Elias smiled. "You're wrong about that." Kelt spoke then. "This human has been observed," it said, repeatedly, "under vulnerability conditions." "And?" the other alien asked. "And it did not withdraw," Kelt said. "It did not exploit. It did not isolate." The other alien's eyes narrowed. "Anomaly," it said. "Pattern," Elias corrected. Silence, stretched. Finally, the alien spoke again. "You risk yourself for displaced species," it said. Why? Elias answered without hesitation. Because distance already broke enough worlds. The channel closed. The ships did not move. That night, Elias and Kelt sat in the quiet apartment, closer than ever before.
You have altered their expectations, Kelt said.
Good, Elias replied. They needed that. You have also increased your risk, Kelt added. Elias shrugged. Story of our species. Kelt looked at him. For the first time, it said, I believe your inconsistency may be strength. Elias smiled. Outside, the ships waited. But they were no longer sure what they were waiting for. And for the first time since the test began, the distance between fear and trust had grown smaller than the space between two sleeping mats. Elias knew something had changed before anyone said it out loud. The station felt tighter. Corridors that once felt wide now seemed narrow. Conversations stopped when security passed. People checked their displays more often, then pretended they had not. The ships were still there, but now they were closer than ever before. Station Command called it a static posture adjustment. Elias called it what it was: pressure. Kelt stood near the center of the room, perfectly still, as if movement itself required permission. They are no longer observing, Kelt said. They are preparing. For what? Elias asked. For a decision, Kelt replied. They do not rush these. That's worse, Elias muttered. The next message came an hour later, which, one, was public. That all residents were instructed to remain calm. Certain sectors would experience temporary access restrictions. There was no danger. No danger was never good news. Elias was heading toward the transit lift when he noticed the crowd. Humans, mostly. A few other species standing on the edges, watching. Station security had formed a line. At the center stood a human officer, speaking in a calm voice that did not quite hide the tension. Elias stopped. Kelt stopped beside him. What's happening? Elias asked a nearby worker. They're creating buffer zones, the worker whispered, between species. Just in case. Elias felt his jaw tighten. That's exactly what they want, he said quietly. Kelt's posture shifted. They are attempting to reduce risk, it said. No, Elias replied. They're teaching the wrong lesson. Before Elias could stop himself, he stepped forward. Hey, he called out. What's the plan here? The officer turned. Sir, please stay behind the line.
This line shouldn't exist, Elias said.
The officer's eyes flicked to Kelt. This is for everyone's safety, the officer said carefully. Whose safety? Elias asked. Because right now, you're telling someone watching us that pressure works. There was a murmur in the crowd. The officer hesitated. Kelt spoke then. This separation increases the likelihood of escalation, it said. Based on historical analysis. The officer frowned. You're saying distance makes it worse? Yes, Kelt replied. For my species. And for those observing. Elias stepped back beside Kelt. We're not leaving, he said. Either of us. The officer looked between them. Behind him, someone shut down the barrier controls. Slowly, reluctantly, the line dissolved. The crowd relaxed, just a little. From that moment on, nothing was quiet anymore. The ships outside changed formation again. This time, station sensors could not hide it. They were aligning. That's it, Elias said. They're making a move. Kelt did not answer right away. When it did, its voice was lower. They are signaling readiness. They want us to withdraw first. Not happening, Elias said. Kelt turned toward him. If conflict occurs, it said, your station will be vulnerable. So will they, Elias replied, and they know it. That night, Station Command made a decision. They ordered Kelt to report for protective relocation. It was not optional. The message was clear polite, and absolute. Elias read it twice.
No, he said out loud. Kelt stood silently.
They believe removing me will reduce risk, it said. It won't, Elias replied. It'll confirm everything the ships believe. Kelt's eyes reflected the room lights, dimmer than usual. You do not have authority, it said. I don't need it, Elias replied. I just need to not move. Security arrived an hour later. 2 humans. Calm. Professional. Kelt, one of them said. Please come with us. Kelt looked at Elias. Elias stepped forward. No, he said again. Sir, the officer replied, this is not your decision. It is if I don't step aside, Elias said. The second officer frowned. You're escalating. So are you, Elias replied. Just quietly. There was a pause. Then something unexpected happened. Other humans stepped closer. Not aggressively, not loudly. They just closed the distance. A maintenance worker, a trader, someone Elias recognized from the food hall. No one spoke. They didn't have to. The officers exchanged a look. Stand down, one of them said finally. We'll reassess. They left. Kelt stared at the humans now filling the space. This behavior, it said softly, is not isolated. No, Elias replied. It never is. Outside, the ship shifted again. This time, they pulled back, just slightly. Station command noticed. So did everyone else. The next message came fast. All relocation orders suspended. Situation under review. Elias exhaled for the first time in hours. That worked, he said.
Yes, Kelt replied, because the signal was collective. The following day, something new happened.
A human delegation requested to speak with Kelt. Not officials. Civilians, engineers. Analysts, people who wanted to understand. Kelt answered every question. Why proximity mattered. Why distance signaled threat. Why silence could be louder than violence. Elias watched from the side, saying little. He didn't need to speak. The ship sent another message. Short. Direct. Human involvement complicates outcome. Elias laughed softly when he read it. That's the nicest thing they've said about us, he muttered. Kelt looked at him. They are uncertain, it said. They did not predict this response. Good, Elias replied. They shouldn't. That night, the station lights dimmed into rest cycle. For the first time since the patrol began, alarms stayed silent. Kelt did not move its mat. Neither did Elias. They lay there, awake, listening to the station breathe.
You have altered the balance, Kelt said quietly.
So have you, Elias replied.
No,
Kelt said. I only confirmed what was possible. Elias turned his head. And what's that? That humans do not need dominance to be dangerous? Kelt said. Only presence. Elias smiled faintly.
Yeah,
he said. That sounds like us. Outside, the ships remained. But now, they kept their distance, not because they were confident, but because they were unsure. And for the first time, uncertainty belonged to them. The station woke, slowly, not with alarms, not with announcements. Just a quiet shift in movement, like a deep breath after holding it too long. Elias noticed it when he stepped into the corridor. People were walking normally again, not rushed, not clustered too tightly, not avoiding eye contact. The ships were still there, but they were farther away. That mattered. Kelt walked beside Elias, its steps calm, measured. It no longer stood stiff or alert all the time. It no longer watched every shadow. Something inside it had eased, just a little. They are reconsidering, Kelt said. But that's good, Elias replied. Means they're not sure anymore. Yes, Kelt agreed. Uncertainty reduces aggression. Elias smiled. We should put that on a human flag. They reached the main observation deck. A few people were already there, looking out at the dark shapes in the distance. No fear, just curiosity. One of the ships broke formation. Slowly, carefully, it moved closer. But not toward the station, toward the open space between. That's new, Elias said. Yes, Helt replied. They are requesting neutral positioning. A message arrived seconds later. Not official channels. Not military. A shared frequency. Kelt read it first. They wish to speak again, it said, with conditions. Elias folded his arms. Let me guess. Distance, yes. Elias shook his head. No. That response is consistent. They can talk, Elias continued, but not from a place of control. They meet us where we stand. Helt considered this. Then it transmitted a reply. The wait that followed felt longer than it was. Finally, the answer came. Agreement. The meeting was arranged in the same limited channel as before. No weapons, no threats, observation only. This time, more than one being appeared on the screen. 3 figures. Same species as before, same sharp eyes. They did not speak immediately. Elias noticed something important. They were closer together than last time. You have adjusted, Elias said. The central figure's eyes narrowed slightly. Your presence altered expected outcomes, it said. That's called interaction, Elias replied. Kelt spoke next. You have observed humans under pressure, it said. Your models are incomplete. We agree, the alien said. That is concerning. Good, Elias said. It should be. The alien paused. You risk escalation without clear gain, it said. Why? Elias answered honestly. Because if the only way to stay safe is to stay distant, then no one ever really is. Silence followed. Then something Elias did not expect. The alien leaned forward. Our species values control, it said. Distance allows it. And closeness doesn't, Elias replied. No, the alien said. Closeness creates variables, Elias smiled. Welcome to life. Kelt observed quietly. The alien continued. You have demonstrated a different deterrent, it said. Not strength, not threat. Commitment, that's a big word, Elias said. It is an expensive one, the alien replied. Yes, Elias agreed. But it lasts. The meeting ended without agreement. But it ended without hostility, too. That was a win. Over the next few days, the ships withdrew further, not leaving, but no longer pressing. Station command finally relaxed restrictions. Patrols reduced. Life resumed. Elias returned to work. Cargo logs felt almost boring again. Almost. One evening, Elias came back to the apartment to find Kelt standing in the center of the room. I have received an offer, Kelt said. Elias's heart sank. From them? He asked. No, Kelt replied. From the council. Elias waited. They are offering my species protected status. Kelt continued. Formal recognition. Shared settlements. That's huge, Elias said. Yes, Kelt agreed. It is unprecedented. And? Elias asked quietly. And it requires relocation, Kelt said. Elias nodded slowly. That makes sense, he said. You can't stay here forever. No, Kelt said. But the decision is not simple. Elias looked at it. Why not? Because proximity changes outcomes, Kelt replied. and this arrangement has proven effective.
Elias laughed softly. You mean me. Me.
Yes, Kelt said. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. I'm not exactly policy. No, Kelt agreed. You are example. They stood in silence. That night, the sleeping mats stayed where they were. No movement, no testing, just rest. In the morning, Elias woke to find Kelt gone. Panic hit him before thought. Then he saw the note on the table. A simple message, translated into basic human script. Observation continues. Do not withdraw. Elias exhaled. Days passed. The ships left. Not dramatically. Not all at once. One by one, they slipped into deep space. The station returned to normal.
News spread not loudly.
Not with celebration, but with something better. Understanding. Human analysts began rewriting models. Other species adjusted behavior. Proximity protocols changed. Elias became a footnote in reports. A human civilian demonstrated. He hated that phrasing. Kelt returned a week later. Not as a roommate. As a representative. It stood taller now. More certain. The offer stands, McKelt said. For my species. And for you.
Oh.
For me? Elias asked. Yes, Kelt replied. They want you involved.
Elias laughed. I check cargo for a living. You also changed an outcome, Kelt said.
That is rarer. Elias thought about it. About cheap rent. About invisible lines. About a mat moving closer in the night. Yeah, he said finally. Okay. The apartment was reassigned soon after. On Elias's last night there, he lay on his sleeping pad, staring at the ceiling. The room felt bigger now, not emptier. Just finished. Kelt stood nearby. This was the closest distance, it said. Elias smiled.
Funny, we never touched. Touch was not required, Kelt replied.
Intent was. They stood together one last time. Not too close, not too far. Exactly enough. Outside the window, the stars burned quietly, and somewhere between them, a lesson remained. Humanity did not need to conquer. It did not need to dominate. Sometimes all it had to do was stay. And that, the galaxy was beginning to understand, could change everything.